in the course or at the beginning of the proceedings. Lastly, Madam Speaker, it is a matter that we encourage you to bend backwards and accommodate a man whose life in politics is on the line, but give an opportunity for the lawyers on the other side to comment. It is good practice. We don't need to waste a lot of time on this. I think exercise your discretion, bend towards justice, and let's move on.
Yeah, maybe Senator Wetangula, before you leave, I wanted you to comment on at what point are we going to listen to those?
The authorities don't have to hold the proceedings by circulating documents to everybody. All he needs to do is to say, I have the case of Wambora versus the Republic, or the case of so-and-so versus so-and-so, and I'm going to cite this. In the process, if there are any senators who will need the copies to look at and make comments when you'll give us that hour for us to make comments, we can make comments. But the first bite will be the colleagues across the floor who will be given an opportunity to comment on those authorities.
Okay, before I even ask them to make a comment on the admissibility of that, Senator Matsayo, then I'll come to Senior Counsel Mogeni.
Asante Bispika. Bispika, pia mimi nilikuwa nataka kuongea kusema kama vile hakuna makosa yoyote kwa wakili Nyamu kutupatia sheria ambazo ziliweza kuwekwa hapo mbeleni, ambazo zinaweza pia vile kuweza kuweka ushawishi mwema wa bunge letu hili la Senate kufikia uamuzi ambao utakuwa uko na haki. Kwa hiyo mimi sioni shida yoyote ya hiyo, ikiwa vile kwa upande huu wa mashtaka, kabla akiwa yeye anaendelea kuongea aweze kuwapatia saa hizi, ili wao wakiwa wanamsikiza wanazipitia zile, alafu lakini yeye aweze sio ile yote, lakini kuweza pale mahali ambapo alikuwa anataka kusema aende kwa ile paragraph ambayo anataka kusema, aiseme hiyo, aiwache hivyo apatie mwenzake, aifafanue tu kidogo, alafu aachilie hapo. Manake huwa saa nyingine tunaweza kupita mpaka. Asante Speaker.
Okay, Senator Mogeni, and please, we are eating into their time already. Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if the authorities will assist this House in ensuring that the process that we are undertaking will not be in breach of the Constitution or any statutes, then it's only fair and in the interest of fairness and justice that those authorities be supplied to this House. Madam Speaker, as you heard from the lawyers for the County Assembly, this process that we are undertaking is a quasi-judicial process, and it is subject to the supervisory jurisdiction of the High Court under Article 165. So guided by our own fifth schedule and Rule Order 24, it is only fair that we allow both parties to present their case to their satisfaction, so that they don't leave this House feeling that they were denied a hearing. But what is of importance, Madam Speaker, is that counsel for the Assembly should be given at least a few minutes to also comment on those decisions. That way will be seen to be fair to both parties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Finally, on the side of senators, Senator Ochila Yako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are operating under very strict timelines, and I also believe that the lawyers are entitled to rely on the authorities. I think the tidy thing to do is for them to make reference to those authorities and to share copies with their counter opposing counsels. They do not need to consume more time by giving it to us. When we are making our decisions as a House, those who may be at sea when it comes to law can consult any of the lawyers that they think are able to advise them properly. But taking time to distributing to us will occasion long sitting, which is unnecessary.
Counsel to the Assembly, I think you have heard the majority think they are of no negative consequence to you, but I give you the right of reply to that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Under our practice, such authorities, Madam Speaker, ought to have been availed to us even before we commence the proceedings. We have already closed our case. Madam Speaker, it's very difficult for me to comment when senior legal mind, led by Honorable Senator Wetangula, have already taken a position on the same. But Madam Speaker, then I would request that you give us time to reply if you are to rule that my learned colleague does refer to those authorities. Time after they've concluded the submissions that we can also refer and make comments on those authorities. Ordinarily would have been given an opportunity for us to come with counter authorities to the same. But due to the strictness of time, Madam Speaker, it will be very difficult for us. Let that disadvantage also go on record that we were disadvantaged at the instance of the governor. I thank you.
Malala, you have a different opinion? I had closed that.
Madam Speaker, I don't want to be technical about our approach to this matter, and in the fairness of time. We've sat here for 2 days, we've heard, and I want us to be very frank with each other. That in as much as this is a quasi-judicial process, Madam Speaker, this is a political process. We might want to sit here, talk a lot of English, but a decision has been made. If we can save time, Madam Speaker, and wind up, because a decision will be made through a vote. So if we can save time, whether you quote authorities at this moment, or you don't quote authorities, or you reply, or you don't reply, we are going to vote. And some of the people who are coming to vote and make a decision on whether Governor Sonko is going to be impeached or not are not even listening to those authorities you are quoting. So we are wasting a lot of time, Madam Speaker. We'd rather just find a way of concluding this matter, then go direct, so that we save time. Remember, Madam Speaker,
there's a point of order.
Yes,
Senator Pareno.
I'm on a point of order, so it can't be a point of order on a point of order. I'm concluding, Madam Speaker.
Are you on a point of order or you are contributing?
It was a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Well,
so finally, Madam Speaker, I want to remind ourselves that we are going to vote 11 times. We are going to vote on every charge. So if we sit here, we shall leave here at 2 a.m. in the morning, Madam Speaker. And therefore it is, with all fairness, we have elderly people seated in this house who won't manage to sit up to 2 a.m. So if we can find a way which we can conclude, so that we just go straight to the vote, I think, Madam Speaker, it will be fair enough and convenient for this house. Thank you.
Okay, finally, Senator Pareno, you're back. She was on a point of order now.
Madam Speaker, I think it would not be proper if it goes on record that this Senate is saying that councils here, by trying to make their case, are wasting time by producing or giving us authorities. I think that is not fair. It is not a fair comment. We are here, we've been here for the last 2 days to hear them on whatever case they have from both sides. And we cannot say, for some of us, the learned colleagues would not want to say that authorities are a waste of time. There are best practices out there that we need to learn from. So that is unfortunate, and I think it is not fair to have that comment on record.
Thank you. I thought you were on a point of order, but you have contributed further. Senator Mwaura, so that I close this, I want to close it, please. The final person is Senator Mutula, and I make a decision.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think this matter is quite dicey
because if you are to give an opportunity to introduce authorities on already when the county assembly, council have made their closing statement, even when they may have an opportunity to rebut, I think, in my opinion, I do not quite agree, and so therefore I agree with the council that this matter should rest, that actually the governor should make his closing, or the council for the governor should make their closing remarks, but also to say that, Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate to hear my colleague Senator Malala saying that a decision has already been made. It has not been made. I think we are a house of reason. We are here to be persuaded, for or against, and we are exercising our constitutional duty, and we owe it to Kenyans to do so. So, well, I know it has been long and tedious, but let us hear everybody out, and let us make a decision based on those submissions, and also Kenyans do believe that the integrity of senators is beyond reproach. I submit that, Madam Speaker, that those authorities may not be admissible at this point in time.
Senator Mutula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I heard some of the comments while I was in the corridor, and the statements by Senator Malala are unfortunate, because that can easily lead to the impression that we have made a decision. Madam Speaker, as I've said this before, and I want to repeat, that the plenary session is unlike the committees, because in the committee reports, and it's the first time I'm dealing with an impeachment without my big volume, there's always precedent that we have followed. And Eunice Gishang is here, our very good deputy clerk, and who has assisted us in the various impeachment proceedings using some sort of legal authority. Now, for purposes of legal authority, it's not like you're introducing evidence. You're introducing, this good gentleman, my learned friend for the assembly, talked about threshold, talked about our duty, and one of them actually mentioned the word nexus. The word nexus is legal authority. So I don't think there will be any prejudice if he cited an authority with regard to impeachment proceedings, provided also that the lawyers can respond. But even then, since Mr. Nyamu is a senior lawyer, I think it's only fair, as a good example, that at the very least, those authorities should have been availed to his junior counsel, who long before, so that we avoid this idea that you're ambushing them with legal authority, because the idea of submitting authority is that your colleagues should have an opportunity of looking for counter authority. You are disadvantaging them to some extent, because they are going to comment on your authorities as opposed to producing counter authorities. But there is really no harm, because we have set precedent and there's legal authority, but the only objection, and I think in future, Madam Speaker, we're going to request these councils in future to do written submissions with their authorities in future, so that then, even for our purposes, the non-lawyers can also benefit from the wisdom of these authorities. Some of us might understand these legal authorities, but not everybody is a lawyer in this chamber. I hope, Madam Speaker, and with the wisdom of Senator Wetangula, who is our senior, and most likely more senior than anybody else except Senator Wako, I think there is reason in trying to balance it so that nobody says they were not given an opportunity. We have sat here for a whole day. I don't think the authority will take 1 hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Senators. I think everybody is leaning towards let's allow them to introduce. Whoever would like to use the authorities will use them, but priority will be given again to the council, to the county assembly. Please read. I will give you 10 minutes. I better be precise now. That's going to be 10 minutes. So you read them and prepare your reactions towards those authorities at the end of their submission. Now that takes me back then to, I'll withdraw and sympathize and give you the 60 minutes that is due to you. So I will not reduce anything except a point of order from Senator Ongeri.
I want your guidance when we allow the authorities to be quoted in this session, it will appear in Hansard. And I'm mindful of the fact that the legal counsel on both sides have the liberty to move to the higher court for further interpretation. How would the records of this House read if it's one-sided, where the authorities have been quoted and the other side has not had ample time to peruse through those authorities and give a counter proposal? Because in the interest of equity and fairness, I think it will appear, Madam Speaker, that it's only fair that when these authorities are being quoted, that the other side will have adequate time to reply, so the records in the Hansard will reflect accordingly what has transpired in this session.
Now you're tempting me to give Senator Sitswil Amos Wako, and in your point of order, please respond to what Senator Ongeri has asked, because those of us who are not lawyers may not understand the way you understand.
No, first, thank you, Madam Speaker. First, it would have been good if the practice which I used to know before, practicing in court, authorities are submitted the day before the hearing and also given to the other side so that they all prepare. But it does appear that the advocates for the county of Nairobi have been taken unawares. Two, although they have been taken unawares, I still think that, and although we also have been taken unawares, I think the point that Senator Malala was saying, but he put it very crudely, with the utmost respect, is that we have to decide tonight. In other words, we do not have the luxury of retiring 1 or 2 days, reading through the documents, the evidence and whatnot, and then coming back to vote. We have to decide tonight. And that's why you have made a very good decision for the other side to have at least 5 minutes to respond. Ordinarily, it would still be unfair, but in the circumstances of this matter, I believe I heard the advocate say that the authorities is going to court are authorities of the High Court and of the Court of Appeal of Kenya. And I believe that we have in this House people who are aware of all those authorities, so that even if he doesn't quote some authorities, we are aware of all authorities. They have passed through us, particularly those who are now serving a second term. And therefore, it may not be all that inconvenient. But what I would advise you, because of the time factor, do not quote too much. Just a small reference and you move on, so that you can shorten the time of submission. In other words, you're not a court of appeal where you're going to take 1 hour just on one authority, distinguishing this and that and so on. Be very brief on it, because time has gone. And I believe that members would want to finish and to exercise their right to vote, and we finish the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the most senior of the senior lawyers in the House has spoken and has almost tilted the balance again because of how it can be referred. Just for avoidance of the eventuality of one group going to court, and I think the Assembly Councillor said they would like it to be on record. Is that right? Yes, already said they would like it to be on record. I think what we need to do is just proceed, cite them, don't distribute them. The members will know where to find them. Because if we proceed, as earlier said, we could still have to carry a package of this decision, not just now, but as presidents. So my ruling now is that we rule against any distribution of any new introduction of authorities that were not introduced on time. You can cite them, they will be able to refer to them. Thank you. So please, we have no time. Let's proceed. Your 60 minutes runs from now.
Much obliged, Madam. Madam Speaker and honorable members, I wish to submit that in the first place, this honorable House has been charged by a very serious and noble responsibility by the Constitution, and none of the houses of Parliament or legislature have been bestowed with. The task of dealing with the question as to whether an elected person shall continue to hold office is a very noble task and a very serious responsibility that warrants a serious and well-thought decision. Madam Speaker, a governor is elected pursuant to the exercise of democratic rights of the citizens of this country. And although a CEO, he is elected by the citizens of this country within a certain county. In this case, the county of Nairobi elected Governor Mike Sonko overwhelmingly. He had over 800,000 votes. And now the Assembly, through the move of the motion, in exercise of powers under Article 181 and Section 33 of Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, is now threatening to remove him from office. Madam Speaker, I would urge this honorable House to consider the writing in the Constitution under Article 1, that is the sovereignty of the people of Kenya and supremacy of the Constitution when considering this particular matter. Madam Speaker, I would urge this House to consider the provisions of Article 259 of the Constitution, wherein it is provided that the Constitution shall be considered holistically, and no provision of the Constitution shall be looked at in isolation. Madam Speaker, it is provided, and I wish to refer the House to Article 1 on sovereignty of the people, where the people of Kenya have the power and right to exercise their democratic rights, either directly or indirectly. In this case, they've elected Governor Sonko in exercise of their democratic rights to govern themselves, but they've delegated that power to him to govern them. Madam Speaker, the governor has, as a matter of political rights envisaged under Article 38(3) of the Constitution, the right to seek election to hold a public office, and if elected, to hold that office. That power, that right, Madam Speaker, should not be interfered with in any case without substance. Madam Speaker, I wish to submit that these proceedings before this House were initiated at the County Assembly, Madam Speaker, under powers bestowed upon the Assembly under this Constitution. At that particular moment, the first thing is that there was a court order, Madam Speaker, which was ignored. Madam Speaker, in that regard, I wish to refer this House to the first document, that is the affidavit of the governor, marked volume 1 at page 96. Madam Speaker, you'll note that there was an order in force. The order was issued by Justice Murima, not Justice Nzioki wa Makau, Madam Speaker, and that order was in force. Madam Speaker, it is incumbent upon all state actors by virtue of Article 10 of the Constitution on the doctrine of the rule of the law and promotion and protection of the Constitution to respect all the authority under the Constitution, Madam Speaker. One of the authorities, Madam Speaker, is the authority bestowed upon the judiciary under Article 159, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is provided under Article 159 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, that judicial authority is derived from the people of Kenya and vests in and shall be exercised by courts and tribunals established by or under this Constitution. Madam Speaker, that particular court order was actually derived from a court of law established under this Constitution, which court is part of the judiciary and which order was issued under the judicial authority under Article 159, and the same ought to have been respected. The court assembly, the county assembly ought to have deferred its motion, obeyed the court order, instead of proceeding despite the court order. Madam Speaker, this is not the first time that that is happening, and that issue was settled in the case of Governor Martin Wambora, where impeachment proceedings were taken out despite a court order, and the proceedings were set aside eventually by the court. Madam Speaker, I would urge this Honorable House to disregard that impeachment process for being a nullity and in violation of the Constitution, and hence devoid of any efficacy. Madam Speaker, I wish to also point out that before the mover of the motion took the step that he took in proceeding with a motion, it was incumbent upon them, Madam Speaker, to first exercise avenues within within their precincts before inviting this Honorable House. And that remedy is under Article 185. Madam Speaker, through these proceedings we've been taken through these proceedings where it has been denied, it has not been shown that before initiating an impeachment motion, they ever made any attempts at even exercising their powers under Article 185, that is the power to oversight the governor or any state officer, which they never did. They also have power under Article 195 to summon, which they never did. And Madam Speaker, as it is, and all the world over, impeachment, since impeachment interferes with the fundamental rights of an individual, ought to be the last resort. Madam Speaker, nothing in those allegations and the charges could not have been cured through the exercise of oversight under Article 185 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker. And I would urge this Honorable House to find that this process was premature and that the Assembly, or the mover of the motion, had not exhausted all the available machinery to them before invoking their powers under Article 181. Madam Speaker, in that regard, I would wish to quote an authority in relation to Governor Wambora. That is, Madam Speaker, the Court of Appeal case number 194 of 2015. That is Martin Nyaga Wambora versus the County Assembly of Embu, wherein the court, at paragraphs 19, 20, all the way to paragraph 25, has opined that impeachment ought to be an act of the last resort. Madam Speaker, in this particular case, at paragraph 20, the court said that it is common knowledge that Kenya is bestowed with politics. And Madam Speaker, and politics is polarized with a growing polarity between the county government and members of the county assembly, and might this undermine the objects of the Constitution on devolution, which is in these nascent stages. Might this in turn polarize public opinion? Do powers of the county assemblies to impeach governors constitute a sword of Damascus that might undermine democratic governance and emasculate devolution? Do governors have to look over their shoulders all the times to ensure that they do not rub the county assembly members the wrong way, lest they incur the wrath through impeachment? If so, is this healthy for devolution? How will the expectations of the Constitution be better safeguarded and met? Madam Speaker, it is based on this particular pronouncement by the Court of Appeal that I wish to submit that these particular proceedings were premature in the first instance. Madam Speaker, again, looking at the charges, we've gone through the motions of looking at the evidence that was presented before the House. The governor has given evidence. None of those documents that have been presented here, Madam Speaker, in a case where the governor is alleged to have committed or violated the Constitution and the law, and more specifically, the County Governments Act, the Public Procurement and Disposals Act, and the Public Finance Management Act. Nothing has been shown, no nexus has been shown to exist, no connection between the acts alleged to have been committed with the governor. No document has been shown that has been signed by the governor, and no collusion has been demonstrated to have occurred between the governor and any officer. Madam Speaker, I wish to refer this House to Article 179 of the Constitution, Your Honor, where it is provided that at paragraph 1, sub-article 1, that there shall be a county executive committee, Madam Speaker. And this county executive committee, Madam Speaker, is the one that sits and formulates policies, Madam Speaker. The governor does not sit and unilaterally make a decision. The governor makes or formulates policies collectively with the county executive committee, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, that particular provision of the Constitution is complemented by Section 30 of the County Governments Act. Madam Speaker, there is misconception which has been laid before the House by the County Assembly through their council that the buck stops with the governor. Madam Speaker, at no time does the governor make a decision alone. He is bound by law, and it has not been shown that the governor unilaterally formulated a policy without the CECs. Madam Speaker, the only role that the governor has under Section 30, being the CEO, you'll find that under Section 30L, the governor signs or causes to be published in the County Gazette notice of all important or formal decisions made by the governor or by the county executive committee. So when the executive committee formulates policy, then the governor gazettes. Madam Speaker, it was held by this House just a few months ago in the case of the governor for Kirinyaga, that is Her Excellency Anne Waiguru, that the governor cannot be vicariously held liable for anything that goes wrong within the county government. Madam Speaker, we've been taken through charges where it has been alleged that Procurement Law and Public Finance Management Act have been violated, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and sorry when I stop talking, it's because I'm used to addressing the courts. Madam Speaker, as it is, nexus has to be shown, that a connection has to be shown between the act complained about and the governor, especially when it comes to matters procurement and matters Public Finance Management Act. Madam Speaker, the mover of the motion, when he was being cross-examined, admitted that there are accounting officers appointed in the county government of Nairobi.
Yeah, Nyamo and the council, that light tells you that your first 20 minutes is over. So we are trying to help you manage your time. So your first 20 minutes is over, and you are now in the next 20 minutes. But it's how you agree.
Very well, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it was through cross-examination, it was admitted that there are different county accounting officers. Madam Speaker, that takes us to section 148 of the Public Finance Management Act, Madam Speaker. In that particular act, section 148, it is provided that the CEC Finance appoints county accounting officers, who in this case are heads of different departments. And under section 149, it is those particular accounting officers that are appointed to deal with matters procurement. Madam Speaker, the CC Finance, being the head of Treasury, is the one that deals with matters public finance, and the governor would only deal with such matters at policy formulation level and not directly. And my lady, through these authorities, Madam Speaker, you'll notice that a governor cannot be held vicariously for any mistakes or violations of the law by officers of the county government. Madam Speaker, it was incumbent upon the mover of the motion to proceed and have any officer whose department he has a query for purposes of oversight, for purposes of asking any question or seeking for any information. This was all done, and therefore the same cannot be visited upon the governor. Madam Speaker, as it is, it was indicated through these proceedings that there are matters that are pending in court, Madam Speaker. I would urge this Honorable House to consider disregarding the charges that have been referred in relation to matters that are before court, Madam Speaker. It has been shown, contrary to what has been submitted by the County Assembly, it has been demonstrated very clearly by the governor that no money meant for bursary was transferred towards payment of any contractors or lawyers. And nothing has been shown that money money that was meant for bursaries was paid to lawyers and or contractors. And although this House is not bound by the criminal-based principles of justice, it is incumbent upon this House to be very cautious, especially when it deals with the rights of the governor under Article 38 of the Constitution, and also the rights of the people of Nairobi who elected the governor. This House should consider not to punish the people of Nairobi who elected the governor simply because one individual has decided that they move the motion. This motion was moved out of malice, and we urge this Honorable House to find that none of those charges have been substantiated against the governor, and to discharge the governor of all the charges. Madam Speaker, at this level, I would urge my learned friend, Mr. Odieki, to come in and deal with the details in relation to the charges.
Thank you.
Now, Madam Speaker, honorable members, before you today, and you will allow me because of my age to speak without this, before you today is a motion that will go to the annals of history, because you are no longer sitting as honorable members, you are sitting as judges. Now, I wish to give 10 reasons why this motion should fail. And in the process, I will also answer the concerns raised by the honorable senators for various counties. Number one, reason number one, Madam Speaker, there is no proper service. From the Senate to the governor, there is a service. There is a process server who served. But from the county assembly to the governor, there is no proper service. Because they have already told us that the governor was locked out of the office. They are saying they served the governor in his office. They have not disclosed which office, because already we know he was barred from going to office. So that is ground one why, Madam Speaker, this motion must. And by necessary extension, then I am answering the concerns raised by Senator Matsayo that the governor was not accorded a fair hearing. Madam Speaker, if you look at Article 50, Clause 2, B and C, it says that any charges must be served upon the other respondent in good time so that they have a chance to prepare their case and they know what charges they are facing. But if this is a removal on integrity, then when you interrogate when you interrogated the process which was used to remove the governor, it was not transparent, it was not accountable, it is not verifiable, it does not comply with principles of good governance, so it violates each and every value of Article 10, 2A up to F of the Constitution. And Madam Speaker, if you look at the architects of this Constitution, they made sure that they separated laws, both at national government and at county government. Why? Because they wanted to emphasize the doctrine of separation of powers. That is the essence of Article 174I. It says checks and balances and separation of powers between the county executive and the county assembly. So, Your Ladyship, Madam Speaker, this has not been complied, and I can see, because we are all Christians and Muslims and the other religions, we all believe in certain values. The governor is a human being. We are not angels. Angels that live in heaven. People may make mistakes, but Madam Speaker, I'm submitting that the mistakes that have been highlighted here, or omissions, do not constitute impeachable offenses. Impeachment constitutes serious crimes and misdemeanors. If you look at all constitutions of the world, there is no serious crime that has been highlighted here. If it is outbursts of freedom of speech where people have spoken, they can be forgiven. These are our children. But it is not a ground of impeachment. Madam Speaker, I wish to answer the same. Madam Nyamunga, the governor continued with giving parcels to everybody. He has never discriminated. This is a governor who carries bodies once people die from Nairobi to all parts of Kenya. Not many people can do that. he gives people water in the slums. The governor listens. So, your leadership, many senators, honorable senators and Madam Speaker, I am submitting that suspicion, no matter how serious, cannot be the basis of impeachment or conviction on impeachment. Madam Speaker, I wish to highlight to you that with this age of technology, WhatsApp, Instagram, and all the others, you see a lot of things in the internet, but they are not criminal in nature. That is a social challenge. That's why we now have artificial intelligence to address some of those issues. But we have not some of these new emerging challenges of artificial intelligence. So we're saying, let us not measure the standard of this governor so high, yet when we go to our homes, our own children watch all those things, and we do nothing. Let us be fair. Before we remove the speck on other people's eyes, let us move the road. The mic, but I'm moving. So the third reason, Madam Speaker, why this should fail, and this would answer the issue concerns raised by Senator Orengo and Senator Ochiro Ayako, that we crystallize the issues. The question that calls for answers is whether the conduct of the county assembly met the threshold to remove. Our submissions that it never met. And let me tell you, via Kuru, by 2022, half of you will be governors. In 2024, we will be here defending you when you are being impeached. The question you must ask yourself is this: will the law be followed? Because the most experienced people who can be next governors are. So we don't want a situation where devolution is undermined because of whims and the like. Sorry. Madam Speaker, you asked me 3 minutes because moving.
I think they'll spend half a minute to change your microphone.
So, Madam Speaker.
Just a sec, let them want you to be on record in everything.
Yes. So we want to crystallize, and I'm going to crystallize 6 issues very quickly in succession because of time constraints. And that I will answer Senator Orengo and Senator Ochiro Ayako, who raised that crystallize what is it. Madam Speaker, number 1, Article 2.4 of the Constitution says that any action or omission done in contravention of this Constitution is invalid. Madam Speaker, the moment they fail to meet the legal threshold in an open, transparent, and accountable manner, which could be very viable, because up to now, we have asked them, where are the videos of voting? They can't furnish. Where is the list, the proper list, and the averments, which will accompany the notes of motion? They have nothing. Madam Speaker, I submit that adding nothing into nothing equals to nothing. So you cannot bring a lot of nothing, and cumulatively you say you have added a lot of things, which amounts to nothing. I submit that whatever they have done, the invalidity of this entire process is that the initial beginning, the notes of motion has no grounds. I mean, has grounds, but has no affirmations, has no list, proper list, and has no confirmation, video confirmation, because voting was through virtual technology partly. So the process is not verifiable. We cannot ascertain what happened. And in view of that uncertainty, I beseech you, as honorable members of the Senate, to reject this motion as premature. Point number 2, Your Ladyship, why it should succeed. If you look at Article 10, it enjoins all state organs, and the county assembly is a state organ, and it enjoins all individuals and all state officers to ensure that the rule of law, constitutionalism, and due process is followed. If they breach the same constitution, the same values, then they should not expect any protection when they come to the Senate, because the Senate is primary objective is to protect revolution, protect the rule of law, and protect due process. That is another reason why it should fail. Number 3, Madam Speaker, look at Article 20, Clause 4, A and B. It says that any action must be justifiable in a democratic society and in the spirit of human rights, fair play, and the rule of law. So the enduring value in our constitutionalism is the rule of law, democracy, fairness. It is all lacking when you look at it. Songo may be having challenges because we are Christians, let us speak the truth. But the challenges are not impeachable challenges. It's just that you have a naughty kid, you have to forgive him and we move on. Now, thirdly, you look at Article 47.1 and Article 47.2. It says that if there is an administrative action, and their action from the beginning was administrative, it must be fair, it must be lawful, it must be procedurally correct. Madam Speaker, this process fails in all those ingredients in Article 47.2. That is the fourth ground why this should succeed. And I believe I have crystallized in very plain terms why this motion should fail. Finally, on the issues raised by the senators, if you look at it, Senator Cheriot, he invited a copy, he sought a copy summoning the governor and a copy of the answered. Because this is a transparent process. We have engaged in activities in the Senate now. We can go to the answered and verify what transpired. There is nothing we can lay our hands on, Madam Speaker, to ascertain what happened. Madam Speaker, the rest of the things will be dealt by my learned colleague, and I want to conclude. I want to see whether I've addressed all the senators. Senator Ongeri of Kisii County is my judge elder. He raised another issue. The county assembly, whether the county assembly denied the governor access. And this has a constitutional implication. Because if you are denied access, and we are telling you as adults who went to represent the governor, and they rejected, they denied us access. And we're saying that has got a constitutional implication of the right to be represented by a council of your choice. That is an issue you must determine, Madam Speaker. And finally, Senator, process was not followed. Senator Fernandi, I think, the process was not followed. Madam Speaker, the entire process, whether constitutional, whether legal, whether regulatory, was ignored by the county assembly. So they cannot come out now in the Senate trying to say full rule of law, due process, when they themselves have not followed the rule of law and due process from the beginning. For those grounds and others to be stated, my learned colleague, we play that you reject the motion as premature, return it to the county assembly, and dismiss it.
Thank you. Next, Council.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, honorable members. I humbly request this honorable House to consider the implications of an impeachment whose foundation has not been established. 5 senators, 5 in their inquiries asked the county assembly, provide us with the evidence that you had the numbers, provide us with the evidence there was proper voting, provide us with the evidence that the impeachment process was fair to the governor, provide us with the evidence that you had of compliance. None was provided. In deference to the question asked by Senator Madzayo, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I beg to have a rejoinder in Kiswahili. Swala ambalo Mheshimiwa Madzayo ameuliza ni muhimu sana, na tegemeo la jumba la Senate ambalo ni la heshima ni kwamba tegemeo la utaratibu wa sheria utafuatwa kabla governor hajang'atuliwa kutoka kiti ambacho ameteuliwa kulingana na utaratibu wa sheria, Na wakazi wa Nairobi ambao wako vitongoji katika vijijini au mahali popote, tegemeo lao ni kuwa sauti yao itasikika. Senator Mathayo wakaagiza, hebu tuelezwe na baraza la Nairobi, mlitekeleza wajibu wenu kulingana na utaratibu wa sheria au mnatueleza tuendelee na kumng'atua gavana wa Nairobi kiholela? Kiholela. Shahidi ambaye angedhibitisha ukweli wa masuala ambalo waheshimiwa wa jumba hili waliagiza na kuuliza ni spika wa kaunti ya Nairobi. Hakuitwa. Jumba la jiji la Nairobi kaunti, badala yake wakamuita mtekelezi wa mswada. Na je, yeye alitimiza agizo la sheria? Mkazi wa Nairobi ambaye anapaswa kuhusishwa katika utaratibu huu, je, alihusishwa? Hakukuwa na ushahidi. Public participation kwa kimombo. Hakuna ushahidi, maseneta waheshimiwa. Hata mmoja kutoka kwa ward ya mtekelezi wa huu mswada hakusema nilitembea kwa ward yangu na nikawauliza maswala ya wakazi wa ward yangu. Mimi kama diwani wenu, je, jameni, mngependa nitekeleze haya? Hamna huu ushahidi. Na je, maseneta waheshimiwa, mkiwa hapa mmeridhika? Kuna ubainifu wa utaratibu wa sheria kufuatwa ambao umemakinika kwa kuwa utakuwa ni ushahidi mkamilifu wa nyinyi kumng'atua gavana wa Nairobi. Na waomba na wasihi, muangalie huo shahidi, na mkiridhika ya kwamba umekosekana, hamna kamwe kutekeleza ombi kama hilo. Na nadhani nimejibu Senator Mathayo kwa lugha ambayo kwa heshima kubwa aliagiza ajibiwe. Na Mheshimiwa Pareno pia kauliza, sorry Madam Speaker, Honorable Pareno requested and asked, is there a nexus between Joyce Kenyanjui, who was a witness from the county assembly, and His Excellency the Governor, in her own evidence, which was tendered in support of the issue of the 2.6 million that allegedly moved from the county to the governor's daughter? She had this to say in description of her own self. And this is volume 9C at page 1120. And she said that I, Joyce Nungari Kinyanjui, I was an employee of Nairobi City County in the position of Director, Intergovernmental Relations and Head CEC Secretariat. And in that capacity, she says, and I quote, in paragraph 2, I received a letter from the CEO, Council of Governors, dated 30th November 2017 and received on 1st March 2017, inviting First Ladies of various counties to attend to the 62nd CSW conference in New York. Honorable members, this did not originate from the governor. It came from the national government. There is a formal invitation. His Excellency has sworn an affidavit saying, I did not have a penny of that money moved from the county assembly into my daughter's account. But there is this notion, honorable members, that His Excellency has used county resources to have a helicopter. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that the governor's daughter was moving from this or other place using county funds? Nowhere. it was requested by Honorable Murkomen, Senator, where are the Zoom face and voice recordings? Honorable members. Mr. Speaker, sir, I apologize. Mr. Speaker, sir, where is the evidence that voting took place at the county assembly as alleged by the Nairobi City County, such as would meet the threshold of the 2/3 MCAs? Honorable members, I urge, I beg, and request, when you consider these realities which go to the practical threshold, you will be disappointed that the county assembly has not availed you that material. On the issue requested by Honorable Nyamunga about the bursaries, Miss Nyamunga, I believe, the bursaries were, and she asked, were they continued? Miss, I apologize. Oh, I apologize. Please accept my apologies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I tender my apologies. No disrespect meant. And she asked, were the bursaries disbursed after that suspension? Madam Speaker, you did not, Mr. Speaker, sir, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, apologize. Mr. Speaker, sir, you did not hear a rejoinder from the county assembly, not any evidence to rebut the issue of diverted bursary funds. Money meant for children in Nairobi County, in the slums of Mukuru kwa Jenga, in the slums of Mathare, was being diverted by MCAs. Those MCAs of the Nairobi City County Assembly now want you to say that impeach His Excellency the Governor, Honorable Miss Nyamunga, on account of that illegal action by the honorable MCAs. The stoppage was done, but it was revived after the payment came through because of the financial year, and that is in the affidavit of His Excellency. You are told that money went in the sum of about 260 million away from that fund. And the question is there a shred of evidence that you are shown that that money moved from the county assembly fund into the governor's account? What you're being told, allegedly, it went into the hands of lawyers. No nexus was demonstrated between these lawyers receiving these funds, 4 cases prosecuted, and the governor allegedly, ostensibly, receiving this money, pocketing it. None. A question was asked by Honorable Senator Haji, and the question was to His Excellency the Governor if he was furnished with the impeachment before the impeachment evidence and proceedings before the 3rd of December 2020. And the second limb to that was, why didn't the governor appear before the assembly? And the rejoinder is that there was no evidence tendered to His Excellency the Governor, such as he would have responded to, and by reason of which he was handicapped. Honorable members, how can anyone respond to that which has not been furnished on him? But you can see, honorable members, the events which His Excellency has demonstrated. He laments about the mover of the motion from the county assembly and says, you have embezzled 823,000. You are supposed to go to Dubai. You did not go. He admitted on the floor as he testified. Honorable members, would you close your eyes to that? That it is consequent upon that complaint in a flurry of movement. And this also answers Honorable Senator Madzayo's question in relation to that. Bwana Speaker, sir, kujibu Mheshimiwa Madzayo ni kama kibunga kilimkumba gavana aliposajilisha katika idara ya DCI lalama la kwamba huyu MCA kuna pesa ambazo za county ilikuwa asafiri aende Dubai na akakubali hakusafiri kwenda Dubai. Gavana akaagiza hebu mfanye uchunguzi, lakini siku 2 baadaye akavamiwa. Hakupewa ushahidi, hakupewa nafasi ya kusikizwa, hakupewa hata hayo majina ambao wanadai MCA walipiga kura. Na hii leo juu ya jitihada zake yeye mwenyewe akasema na akaagiza, mimi sitaki kuwa mlafi wala mlaghai.
Kanzo, sorry to interrupt you,
yes,
but our standing orders require that you use one language.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So you started with English. Kiswahili, you can only use it when you are responding to somebody who has
Mr. Speaker, sir,
responded. I have ruled, just proceed.
I apologize.
Okay,
it's because...
Let him complete, let him finish what he's saying. Okay, I've made a ruling, let him proceed. Since you are good in both languages, just proceed, let's finish.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it was in deference, in sheer respect. The ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir, from Madam Speaker was that in our submissions, we have the rejoinder to the specific questions that were raised by your honorable members. In deference to that ruling, I had then to switch to Kiswahili. I meant no disrespect, honorable members. Thank you very much. So that I can conclude that remark in rejoinder, if I may finish, that just one in Kiswahili, with your kind permission, so that I can wind up. Thank you. Senator Madzayo, huyu MCA akawa wakati ule yeye jina lake limepelekwa kwa DCI na governor. Na governor awali akashuhudia kwamba kulikuwa na mabilioni mengi ambao alikuwa yeye amealikwa njoo ule pamoja nasi, na governor amekataa. Sasa ikawa huu mswada umeidhinishwa dhidi yake, na katika haraka ile akajikuta kama amepigwa na kibunga. Hapewi ushahidi. Hamna ushahidi. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have answered that. Let me wind up and say, Honorable Senator Linturi and Honorable Senator Cheruyot ask very important questions as I wind up. The list of documents supplied to this Honorable House, honorable members, does not include, does not show where those specific votes came from. Who voted? How did they vote? All we're being told is that 88 people, 88 honorable members voted. However, His Excellency the Governor called a witness, an expert in handwriting, who impugned 5 of those alleged votes. That, Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, it goes to the threshold. You don't have the threshold sufficient to give you this impeachment. It must fail. Honorable members, let's consider Kenya. Let's consider Nairobi. Let's just for a moment introspect and ask ourselves, if we were to impeach His Excellency the Governor, does that provide a solution to Nairobi? If we were to impeach His Excellency the Governor, is that the most expedient action we should take? Honorable members, I invite you to also consider Nairobi City County has a peculiarity to it. The lack of a deputy governor is informed by the pendency of 5 court proceedings immediately upon the resignation of the deputy governor who was then elected with the governor. Unfortunately, not even a week after, a case was filed in the High Court. Upon its filing, the governor was then stopped from appointing a deputy governor. As we speak, petition 1 of 2020 is pending before the High Court. Honorable members, what are we accosted by? Where will we leave devolution? Is this an opening for the executive to take over Nairobi? We must consider which is the lesser evil. Let the MCAs sit down with their governor. You have the opportunity to say, we want to pull you to line. We want to have you comply. Let them even file a report with you every month. Have you complied with our demands that these issues be investigated by the EACC? We have a report. We know, rather than taking Nairobi back to the ballot or by the formation of a commission. The formation of a commission would lead us nowhere else but in the hands of the executive. Honorable members, why is devolution going to end? I beg, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I conclude, His Excellency the Governor stood here under oath and said that he is being attacked for his being a stickler to the law, accused of not releasing money to NMS, but showing it is being stopped by a court process, but he's being blamed, saying that money should not be stolen from the bursary kit, but he's being accused, saying that his MCAs should work, but he's being accused. Honorable members, I know you have in you a heart to give devolution effect. I ask you as I close, the issue of 88 MCAs whose vote is in question vis-a-vis the future and the fate of Nairobi. Where do we stand? Vote no. Because tomorrow there can be another impeachment motion that follows the law based on facts, based on evidence. But today, if you impeach the governor, in our current economic situation, the hardships of the common Nairobian being experienced, him or her never being consulted about this. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, where are we headed? Where are we taking Nairobi? Let that impeachment, if it be founded, it can always be done later. But not with this. Not with this. There is nothing to enable us to do it. Thank you very much, honorable members. And for those honorable members that I have not been able to elucidate your query, I apologize. On behalf of His Excellency, let's think about Nairobi. There's another chance. If impeachment comes, let it be without doubt. I beg. Thank you, honorable members. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you so much. Honorable senators, our two parties, the Nairobi City County Governors team and the County Assembly team, let me take this opportunity to thank you for your submissions. The senators have listened. They have been very patient. And now the hour of reckoning has come. Therefore, the next step, according to our program, is to release you briefly so that the Senate goes into a closed session and a bell will be rung for voting, which will be open. So at that point, you are free. If you want to attend, you are welcome. If you don't want to attend, it's optional. So at this point, on behalf of the Senate, I want to release you so that we have a brief closed session before we get into voting. Thank you so much.
Now, you can.
Asante Yesu. Mpenzi mtazamaji na msikilizaji, mahali unaniona kwa nchi yetu hii tukufu, tunakuambia ni mara nyingine tena ndani ya Quickbit. Quickbit tunakuambia tunakupatia bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini kwa chini. Tunakuambia tuko na simu, tuko na Probox Christmas hii, tuko na nduti omoka nani. Tunakuambia ni rahisi sana. Tuko na bidhaa tele chungu mzima. Enda kwa quickbit.co.ke. Kisha wekelea bidii yako, alafu tutakuwa nakupigia simu tukikwambia bana wewe ndio mnunuzi bora. Kwa hivyo mahali popote huko, kama leo tunataka kupayana bidhaa ya aina ya TV 43 inch Hisense ambayo ilinunuliwa jana. Kwa hivyo tunaenda direct kwa simu tukiambia mnunuzi wetu, tusikia anasema ako pandekani ya inchi na aliwekelea bid ya ngapi, akiwa wapi na mara ngapi. Anaitwa Osiago Wycliffe Nyakundi. Wacha tusikie Wycliffe Nyakundi. Ndio huyo simu inaingia. Hopa yuko kwa Aye Wycliffe Nyakundi Osiago. Habari gani?
Nzuri sana.
Mimi naitwa mtumishi kutoka quickbit.co.ke. Ninakupigia simu kukuambia ya kwamba wewe ndio mnunuzi bora wa TV ya Hisense 43 inch.
Wow. Nimesikia mzuri sana.
Asante sana. Ulisikia wapi hizi habari za Quickbit?
Nimesikia, hata mimi nimekuwa nikiparticipate mara 2-3. Nimebet kwanza kwa hiyo TV mara mingi sana.
Uliona habari za Quickbit?
Niliona tu, nilitumia message mara moja. Ndio nikaamua nianze kuparticipate na mimi.
Asante sana. So, kwa hivyo siku leo tunakuambia wewe ndio mnunuzi. Uko upande gani ya nchi yetu tukufu?
Niko Nakuru.
Uko Nakuru? Nakuru wapi?
Ngata.
Ngata. Sasa tutakupigia tukuambie jinsi utapata mali yako ya Quickbit ambayo ni TV 43 inch. Sawa sawa?
Nafurahia sana baba.
Na unaweza ambia watu nini bwana Nyakundi?
Naambia kitu nililo, hata mimi sikuwa na. Unajua niliona message naona nimeshinda, lakini sasa nashindwa kunaenda na